so lonely. If you're leaving, baby, let me down slowly. Let me down.
Women of Reddit, what are some things a dad should know about raising a girl? After you wash her hair, if you have to comb it, start at the bottom and work up. Don't start at the top and muscle through the knots. If you do nothing else right, speak kindly. I don't have the best dad. He was always fighting his own demons, and therefore not all that present, but he has literally only ever been kind to me, and that sticks out more than anything. He praises everything we do, compliments us endlessly, and always made us feel like we were obviously capable of anything. It has always been easy to feel his shortcomings really didn't have anything to do with me and were his own personal issues.
Sounds like a man who knows he's not okay, but wants better for his kids and does his best to make it happen. That's really all you can ask for out of a parent.
I was raised by a single dad. When I started my period, he made it clear that my period was not embarrassing, and he would get me whatever I needed to take care of myself. Also, if there's not a mom around, please ask some friends how to manage your daughter's hair.
Quote, ask some friends how to manage your daughter's hair. r/Dadit shares some nice pics and YouTube channels on this.
There is nothing wrong or dirty about talking openly about things like periods. Learn about things like this so you can be helpful and informative to her when she needs you. Also, don't be the dad who refuses to buy his daughter pads, tampons, because it's weird. Know someone whose dad straight up refused all the time because that's woman stuff or whatever.
I've always had really bad cramps. Very few other side effects on my period, but the beeping cramps, holy damn. One time during high school I had to stay home because they hurt so bad even after ibuprofen that I couldn't sit up straight, and I was visibly very pale. My dad, unprompted, did some quick research and went and bought me pure cranberry juice and said it would help the pain. That was honestly one of the sweetest and most validating things a man has ever done for me. I hate it when men assume that periods actually aren't that painful and just to suck it up. Or when they decide it's gross and awkward and they don't want to get involved in helping. It's only awkward if you make it awkward.
Don't be too overprotective. How long can you protect her? One day she'll be on her own and she'll not know how to. Teach her how to be independent instead. To do things on her own. Teach her self-defense. Teach her to be safe. Edit. I'm glad to hear that we'll share similar views. Wish my dad did that, haha. Too late anyway. I'm so happy that all of your daughters would learn to be independent at least.
This is a good one. Nobody thinks those angry overprotective dads that threaten boyfriends without any hint of wrongdoing are good people. Usually it's just a cheap excuse to flex for some fat middle-aged beep with anger issues, probably responsible for more trauma to his wife and kids than anyone else.
I know you probably don't want to hear about what happened with Sarah and Kyle today in pre-algebra or the character breakdown of her latest teen novel, but just listen to her. The moment you dismiss her thoughts and interests is the moment that the wall starts going up between. Make an effort to remember some names and details and it'll mean everything to her. Don't laugh at her or get mad when she bursts into tears over something that you perceive as insignificant. Not only is she young and her world is smaller, but if she's above the age of 10 her emotions are running wild. Basically just treat her like her thoughts and feelings are valid. It's so easy to forget about how big your emotions feel when you're young. And the reason that I, as a 26-year-old woman, still talk to my father weekly and greet him with a big hug is that he listened with empathy. Edit. Yes, do this for boys too. I say it specifically in this thread because a lot of fathers don't know how to handle their daughters' emotions and thus dismiss them.
Hell, if my daughter took an interest in reading, I'd probably end up reading the same books just so I could relate to the stories she tells.
This is exactly how my dad and I stayed connected when I was young. He traveled a bunch for business, and he related to my other siblings through sports or Legos, different depending on the sibling, but for me it was books. When Harry Potter first came out, he bought us both copies, and then we would talk over the phone about the chapter one was on and what would happen next. As a 31-year-old, I still swap book lists with my dad. It is awesome. Edit. Holy cow, my first gold. I will be sure to let my dad know he helped me out. He also is why I had an interest in fiction and mystery in the first place. He got me reading The Hobbit in 5th grade and would be sure to share his original collection of Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew novels.
How you treat her and her mom is how she will expect to be treated by her partner when she's older.
My dad is awesome and I totally blame him for why I'm still single. Laugh out loud. I've yet to meet a guy who I feel would treat me the same way he treats my mom. Wholesome problem, I guess.
Oh god, me too. I feel like I have super high standards and often wonder if that's something I should change. But my parents are so happy even after 30 years together, and I want to find a man as honest and caring as my dad. Edit. I also want to add a different perspective. If you're supposed to be with this person for the rest of your life, which may be 4,080 years, finding that person should take a long time. And yes, even with the right person, you'll both have to put in a lot of work to make the relationship work. I just want to meet someone that I want to work on it with.
Don't forget your dad has had a lifetime since meeting your mom to grow into that person. Sometimes we have to take a gamble.
That's a very good point, and they have both put in their fair share of work to make their relationship work. I just haven't yet met someone that I want to work with.
When they are teenagers, respect their space as it's a tough time for them, and honestly it's really difficult to talk to your dad about. We have mood swings and you might think we hate you, but we love you dearly. Be there for her when she needs it too.
She might even say that she hates you. My daughter said it when she was angry as a teen. Don't take it personally. I simply responded, it's okay, you can feel that way. But I still love you anyway. Bad times don't last. We get along beautifully now.
When I was 13-ish, we were in the car and my dad was just being an absolute beep to my mom. He's got bipolar disorder, and this was one of those moments. Well, I had heard it all my life, but for the first time I spoke up and said, I hate you when you talk like that, Daddy. At 13, I was still expected to call him Daddy BTW, which I know now is weird, but my mom is Southern, so it was just how it was. I am 37, and my dad will still never let me forget the time 13-year-old me said she hated him. It gets thrown in my face anytime he's upset at me. You can guess what that did for our relationship.
Just to give him something new to talk about. Next time he starts up, you should go, I hate you when you talk like that, Daddy. Just kidding, just kidding. Super frustrating, God. This is why I ran away from home and never looked back. I just cut off the entire rotten tree. But I know it's harder if you have family you do like. Mine was awful enough that I was able to throw the whole thing out.
Do not put bras or underwear in the dryer. Single dad to now college-age dryer. Edit. College-age daughter, not college-age dryer, but the dryer is 20 years old as well.
I know that bras can be deformed from the heat in a dryer, but why not underwear?
No clue. I'm female and have never heard of this thing of not putting underwear in the dryer.
I accidentally destroyed my girlfriend's underwear by ignoring warnings to not tumble dry. Not sure what's so special about the fabric.
She is going to get hit on so much earlier than you think. I started getting whistled at walking past construction sites when I was 11. Teach her the skills to deal with rejecting someone politely but firmly and sticking to her guns, metaphorically. Edit. Since I got so many replies asking how do I teach my daughter those skills, the problem is that it's a whole interconnected web of skills. It's one thing to see a man doing something overtly gross or overtly hitting on you when you're little. Obviously you have to talk about that. But I found it harder when things were less clear-cut. I was raised in the South and politeness was important, respect for elders was important. And it's very easy to say, well, don't be polite to those who don't deserve it. Teach her to yell beep you. And that's true, but the problem is, how and when do you decide who has crossed the line into deserving it? A lot of gross stuff is said and not paid attention to, or you can interpret it in a charitable way, so you just decide I must be overreacting and go on with your day. But it adds up. Even if I only got wolf whistled at once a week walking past construction sites, it would make me realize for the first time that every time we walked past, we had 50 eyes on us, and the horrible crawly feeling that causes. What can you do as a father/parent? It's not easy advice, but I think the biggest thing is raise her to respect herself. If you're 14 and think you're ugly and horrible and nobody will ever love you, you're more apt to let stuff go. You're more apt to interpret something as a compliment. You're more likely to fall prey to this guy 6 years older than me is telling me I'm really special, so it must be love. Teach her to talk about it. Even if it's not asking for help, knowing other women go through this can help. Knowing other people have felt those same feelings can help. The idea that you have your crew around you emotionally to protect you from whatever words fall out of a creep's mouth. I personally worry about the number of well, I'll just teach her martial arts responses here. Self-defense is great, but her 80-pound girl is almost always going to be overpowered by 200-pound grown man, no matter what she knows. It's just not realistic to think that's going to be the solution. It's far more important to teach her to notice the signs that the guy is being a creep. If you're a father, you may need to ask some women you know to talk to them, because there may be stuff you're not aware of. There's my morning monologue based on 1 million replies in my inbox.
I knew someone who, when it was safe to do so, would teach her daughter to yell, "I'm 12 years old, you creep." Worked well, as everyone who heard this understood what was going on.
Make sure to teach us boy stuff, too. I was an only child, and my dad still taught me to drive a tractor, change a tire, hand drywall, and fix things around the house. These skills have come in handy many times in the years since, and especially when I was living alone. Plus, it was great bonding time for me and Dad.
I had a roommate in college that was like this. I had to replace a power steering pressure hose on my car, and she asked if she could be around when I did it. Sure, I said. She just missed helping her dad and would just stand there while I got mad, explained to her why what I'm doing isn't working, or wondered why it wasn't working, handed me tools, and just listened. It was nice. If I had to change my brakes, I'd ask her if she'd want to help and she would get excited. It was special times.
So wholesome.
Keep your promises. I was in 2nd grade. My dad's work schedule changed, so he would be off in the afternoons on Mondays. He said we would go to movies on Monday afternoons, just me and him, once or twice a month. We never went. I never forgot. My father died when I was 8 years old. He always hugged me and said, "Always be yourself. Be happy. If you have any problem, wake up early and see the sky." The sunrise gives you the inspiration to find answers. I thinking every father need to hug their daughter plus give her the comfort of love. She never going to forget that. I am 65 years old and never forgot my father hugs and his love words. Focus on her physical looks. Teach her good hygiene. Encourage her to eat healthy and to exercise. Teach her context for why certain clothes are more appropriate than others. It's disrespectful to wear short shorts at church. Wear them to the beach if you want, but church is for formal clothes, business, casual, etc. But for the love of God, never tell her she's too fat or too skinny. Never tell her she's lucky she's pretty. Never prioritize her beauty over her personality. Never tell her she should wear different clothes for her body type. For example, your legs look better in long pants than in shorts. If she makes an effort to look nice, comment on specifics, like, "You did a good job on your makeup," or, "That dress is a nice color on you," or, "I like what you did with your hair." That takes the focus off her inherent looks. You look gorgeous, and puts it on her effort and attention to detail. She will get enough self-esteem blows and unrealistic expectations from society at large. She deserves better from you. Edit. Wow! Thanks for the gold and silvers. To clear up a few things that people brought up, and rightly so, it isn't about never commenting on her looks or never telling her you think she's beautiful. It's about not making her feel like that's all you or the world see about her. My dad did better with this than my mom. My dad loves to brag on how smart his daughters are and engages us in intellectual discussions. He talks about our accomplishments. He's also always saying he has beautiful girls, which feels nice, but I don't feel like he looks at me and only sees my physical appearance. When I said, "Don't focus on her physical looks," I literally meant that her physical looks should not be the primary thing you comment on, make her aware of, focus on. Also, several people seemed confused by the "she's lucky she's pretty" comment. This isn't about counting blessings. In my part of the world, it's a backhanded compliment and carries an implied insult with it. For example, she's lucky she's pretty because she's not smart enough to have a career. It implies that everything else about her is forgiven and needs to be forgiven. Because she's got good looks. Even making this kind of comment as a joke can be very harmful. Finally, I am not a parenting expert. I am just some chick on the internet who has some kind of idea how this kind of behavior affected her and many people she knows. For any of you out there actually raising kids, I think you are very brave. You will probably make mistakes, because parenting is hard, but as long as your kid grows up feeling loved, you've done a damn decent job.